With this WVLI News Update, I'm Rob West, back with a look at today's news right after this.
Stay connected to your community, even on the go. The WVLI Podcast Network brings you 3 great local shows. The WVLI News Update keeps you informed. Kankakee Valley Community Happenings gets you ready for the weekend. And This One Time in Kankakee shares the incredible stories of our area. Find the WVLI Podcast Network wherever you get your podcasts or at WVLI927.com. The voices you trust beyond the dial.
Communities across Indiana beginning the long cleanup after storms and historic flooding damaged homes, businesses, and roads across the Hoosier State. Hoosier officials want to know what damage residents have. Indiana News Now's Joe Ullery reports.
Officials are asking Hoosiers to document and report storm damage as recovery efforts continue. Democratic State Representative Ed Delaney says those reports can help determine where assistance is needed.
The number is 211. You help yourself and you help the state if you call 211 and tell them about any losses you've suffered, whether your food has rotted, whether a tree has fallen on your house, whatever it might be. Let them know. Information can be sent to Washington to help get federal aid, and it may lead to direct aid for you.
State officials say the information helps emergency managers access the scope of the disaster and identify communities that may need additional state or federal help. I'm Joe Ullery, Indiana News Service.
As of this morning, Northern Indiana Public Service Company, or NIPSCO, said that they have made good headway in getting their customers in Northwest Indiana back online. Only a handful of residents in the DeMott area still without power. There continues to be some without power in Goodland, Couts, Lake Village, and Lowell, though. There are still large portions, though, of Northwest Indiana still without power. They've been without it for more than a week now. A state of emergency has been declared in Paxton. WCIA in Champaign says the declaration was made Monday night, and the hope is it'll get the process in motion as the city recovers from last week's flooding there. Mayor Bill Ingold said the declaration is the first step in getting help from the state and federal agencies. Crews started going door to door yesterday in Paxton to help flood victims document their damage. The defense in the Xandria Harris murder trial continues to present their case in Kankakee County Circuit Court. Jake Lamore has the details.
Rob Harris is accused of helping Darius Sullivan in the December 2021 shooting death of Bradley Police Sergeant Marlene Rittmanic and severe wounding of Officer Tyler Bailey. Tuesday morning, the defense called their 8th witness, a Riverside psychiatrist who treated Harris months prior to the shooting. The doctor testified that Harris disclosed an on-and-off abusive relationship lasting 8 years, had moved into her mother's house, and had several emergency room visits. The psychiatrist diagnosed Harris with major depressive disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder, recommending she seek domestic violence support at Harbor House. Then Tuesday afternoon, a substance abuse therapist from Jerome Combs Detention Center testified that Harris showed symptoms of battered women syndrome and was afraid to testify against Sullivan even in jail. On cross-examination, State's Attorney Jim Rowe asked if Harris may have been manipulating him or if he had administered a mood test. On redirect by defense attorney C.R. Norris, the therapist maintained he still stood by his assessment. The defense has called at least 10 witnesses so far to the stand this week. The trial is supposed to wrap up on Friday. I'm Jake Lamore.
During Monday night's Bourbonnais Village Board meeting, trustees passed a proclamation celebrating the visit of Charlotte Montel, the French Consul General in Chicago. Montel spent the day Monday in the village, said she was impressed with what she saw.
Well, it's my first trip to Bourbonnais, and I had a great day meeting very engaged people. And then I had the opportunity to tour some of the places, and it was very moving to see that so much heritage is still preserved and maintained.
While in town, the French Consul General visited the Kankakee County Museum, the Laterno House, among other sites. She said she looks forward to her next trip to the village. Kankakee County Clerk Dan Hendrickson wants you to know that you'll soon be getting a card in the mail from his office. Hendrickson says Illinois law requires his office to send out the card, telling registered voters the options they have when it comes to voting by mail.
If you want to vote by mail and take part of that, just simply fill out the options on there, fill it in with your name, your address. If you want one for this election or if you want to be on the permanent list, you can do that as well.
Hendrickson adds you don't have to do anything if you still prefer to vote in person.
If you still want to vote how you normally vote, whether that's in person on Election Day or at one of our satellite locations for early voting or in our office, you certainly can do that as well. And if you're tired of receiving the mailings from me, there's an opt-out option on the bottom of that postcard. If you check that and send it back in to us, we'll take you off the list for future mailing.
If you do plan to vote by mail, Hendrickson said you need to have that card returned to his office before October the 28th. You can call his office if you have any questions. Manteno police looking into a burglary at a hardware store last Thursday. Kankakee County Sheriff's Department Chief Deputy Trent Bukowski has our Crime Stoppers tip of the week.
At approximately 4:40 in the morning, several subjects forced entry into a business located in the 300 block of South Locust Street by throwing a brick through a glass door. The suspects fled the area in a light-colored Mercedes-Benz after taking an undisclosed amount of property. Investigators are asking anyone that may have any information to contact Crime Stoppers by calling into 815-93-CRIME.
Tips to Crime Stoppers are anonymous, could result in a cash reward. In sports, Cubs beat the Sox last night 4-3 at Wrigley. Northsiders go for the 3-game sweep this afternoon. Cards beat the Reds 3-0 last night in Cincinnati. Same two teams there tonight. Chicago Sky beat the Liberty 93-86 last night in Chicago. Sky hosts the Valkyries on Friday. Chicago Fire FC take on Orlando City tonight. And training camp continues for the Chicago Bears. There are no more public practices this week. The Bears visit the Bengals for a preseason game on Saturday. That is a look at news and sports here on this Wednesday. Have a good rest of your day. Be safe, everybody. I'm Rob West.
In honor of my grandfather, Franklin Weber's recent passing, we're revisiting the pilot episode of This One Time in Kankakee.
This one time in Kankakee, I was run over with a tractor.
Featuring unreleased audio and new details, it's the story of a father's sacrifice that brought my grandfather 93 beautiful years. Listen now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.